Thanks for joining us on The Crunch. I'm here with my friend Chris Leone from Oracle at AI World, New York.
Thank you so much. It's great to be back.
Great to have you here with us. A lot of announcements this week, to be honest. A lot of product announcements and a lot of developer announcements, really, too.
It's been just amazing. I can speak for my area, but across the board, I mean, Oracle is just executing on all cylinders. I mean, I think obviously AI is front and center, and we've been delivering a lot of capabilities. And I congratulate my development team. I mean, just continues to execute at pace, and you have to in these days. I mean, you look at the large language models and how rapidly they're innovating, and I often say execution is a big part of what we need to be doing right now.
It's funny now, we've gotten so used to having like one big vendor announcement a year. I was talking to my team last week and I said, oh, I don't know if they're really going to announce anything in New York because they just announced a bunch of stuff in London. And I saw the news last night and I was like, wow, it's really a lot there.
A ton, and more to come. But yeah, I mean, a lot there, and it's almost to the point where we got to simplify the message for our customers and really introduce what it means to them and how they can take advantage of it and the value. And customers it's okay to be a little bit ahead of them. Even though there's some tip of the spear that will adopt some of the latest technologies, but we have to execute at this pace. It's an exciting time.
Look, with everybody talking about agentic these days, how do you differentiate and how do you help your customer explain to their management how Oracle's different and what the value is?
It's great. Really good question. So what I'd said, and I think organizations are starting to get a little bit frustrated. They're seeing the value from AI. A lot of what they've done, what's been deployed, even with our customers, has been what I'll call kind of completion prompts or agents where you can it will summarize something, or it will create a job requisition, those types of things, a lot of that, or create a goal. A lot of advisor agents have been deployed, so a lot of customers are using kind of RAG and taking best practice documentation and coupling it with context in the application and asking really context aware questions in the application. A lot of that has happened, and that's valuable. And what I say is it's kind of nickels and dimes. Customers are saving 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there, 20 minutes there. But boards are demanding, hey, we should be getting a ton of that.
Not just little productivity savings; it's the big stuff.
For big stuff. And so what we announced this week was really starting to execute work. And so agentic applications, one of the kind of primary objectives for them is to start to introduce a level of autonomy. So we can build these applications that not only can recommend things, not only can recommend actions to take in the system, which is hard to do, but you can start to feel comfortable to let them execute maybe certain types of transaction within guardrails and policies and those types of things. So that piece I really think is going to land well, because it really does start to automate processes that we weren't able to automate in the past.
The autonomous piece, the dynamic piece, that gets really, really exciting.
Yeah.
It also makes people very nervous.
For sure.
Right? If you think about where we were talking 2 years ago, I think we've really moved some sort of fear of missing out to now FOMO, the fear of messing up.
Yes.
And people are really nervous about, how do I make sure I'm not going to have data leakage? How do I make sure I'm not going to have confabulation? How am I going to make sure if I let this agent loose, when it's running at scale, that it actually does what I intended to do?
It's a really, really good set of questions. The way I'll give an analogy first, and then I'll answer the question. I think that when we started hearing about self-driving cars and those types of things, I think there was tons of skepticism, and it took a long time for those to kind of mature to where people, even now, if you're thinking about a full self-driving Tesla, it works. People feel comfortable to let it go for a long period of time. Some like holding the wheel, let it off down the block, and then grab the wheel again. I think autonomy will come down to people's comfort level, how accurate the agent is, how continuously accurate it is. But before we even get to that piece, there's a ton of testing, evaluation, things that you need. I mean, a big part of deployment is building the agent, defining what it needs to do, defining a series of answers that you expect it to deliver all the time, and measuring that not only before you deploy it into production, but in production as well. And we can do both. So I think and this is why when I say having a built-in system gives you a lot of safeguards, gives you a lot of security, permissions, a lot of those things. We make sure you don't get at the data layer, all those things, because we know that we can keep it safe and secure. But it doesn't take away from, you still need to go through and test and have a set of evaluation questions. It's just like deploying new software. There's no different. The testing is a little bit different, how you go about it. You look for semantic correctness and those things versus, I need to get this dollar amount for my payroll that, based on whatever the task calculation is, but you still need to go through the process.
One of the most exciting slides to me that you showed earlier today was the ROI dashboard.
Yeah.
The idea that customers are actually using, if I understand it correctly, their own telemetry data to see where they're getting value from the AI.
So we instrumented it at the kind of atomic level. So every action that we take in the system, whether it's answering a question, whether it's committing a transaction, we assign some unit of value to that. And that unit value can be monetary, the unit value can be risk averted. And so we provided a way for customers to put their own value that they see in each one of these kind of transactions. And it's directionally accurate, meaning it's not meant to say you saved exactly this amount of dollars or this amount of risk was averted, but it's directionally accurate. So you can start to see the trend over time and say, hey, look, this is a use that we have.
We're getting more value.
We're getting more value from it, or we're getting more risk averted, and there's different type of metrics. So we tried to instrument it. So, and we put some default values in there, but customers should go in each agent that they deploy and tune it. And that's really the way I looked at it was, hey, look, if we can provide it at the atomic level, then they can decide what feels right for them, but direction is going to be correct.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's such an important piece of this and understanding not just how am I using it today, but functionally, how am I getting value and how am I getting that autonomous value and what that looks like when it may really be behind the scenes in a lot of cases. One of the other things you talked about in the keynote earlier was sort of dramatically changing the way you do work.
Yeah.
And as I think about sort of the HCM space, I'm going to ask you to put on your HCM hat for a minute. HR is really challenged today to understand what the skills are that people have within their organization. And it's very hard for me to manage something like strategic workforce planning for the end state with AI and agentic apps if I don't know who my people are, or what their skills are, or what they're doing.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about how your HCM experience and even the Hyperion experience translates into thinking about strategic resource planning and how I think about managing that and changing my thinking about that for AI?
Yeah, I think when you go to deploy a new system, you need to identify the roles that you have and the level of autonomy that you want to provide in each one of those roles, because you can, and you'll be able to do that. Not only now, but in the next 6 to 12 months, you'll be able to say, hey, if I have a collections team, 50% of the workload can be done autonomously. Now, do I want to do all 50% today? Maybe not. Maybe I can do 25%. But if I have, 30 or 40 collections people, I have the ability to, expand capacity, add productivity without always adding additional headcount, or reduce headcount and move that headcount somewhere else by having a level of autonomy. Each role is going to have to be defined that way, especially at those types of roles that can be automated today. That's going to be how business transformation people need to think. Now, the skill sets that you need are going to be different as well. I think for a lot of kind of roles that can be automated, there's going to be a lot of them. I think you're going to have people that are kind of more supervisors, having oversight, understanding what the transaction needs to happen, what should be happening, versus people that are just updating RFQs, or people that are just keying in data. I think those roles are gonna go. Those activities are gonna go away. I mean, you're just not gonna need that anymore. So the roles are gonna be different. But what I say is, people are always worried about, there's gonna be a reduction in jobs, or they'll go someplace else. And what I say is, every new major technology trend has always added roles have always added jobs over my career.
And higher value jobs.
Higher value jobs. I think
Yeah.
this is going to be no different. Those jobs will just start to emerge now, and they're going to be different. And so that's yet to come. Some of them are already emerging, but that's yet to come.
There's a lot of work for HR to do though, to get that data. Our research says only 13% of organizations are really optimized in terms of their skills data to be able to do the kind of workforce planning that we're talking about.
I absolutely agree. I think the skill set is going to lend itself more to understanding AI, what it can do, how to deploy it. A big part of what we're trying to build, honestly, and if you saw, like, they have this agentic application builder, it's a no code way to kind of build these applications that can automate work. We're building that for the business user. I mean, truly, for the first time, we really think we can allow the business user to build the solutions that they want and not have to interpret what they need to somebody else to go build that. And that's really where I start to think about the value that we can create. Hey, look, I need to do these things. These are the policies that I have. I'm going to put those in the system. This is how I want it, and I'm going to test it to make sure I know what I need it to do, and I know how it can respond. So we're really focused on that user, and that's the primary user that we're focused on.
It's funny looking at both the CX and the EX space, to use broad umbrella terms, it's both you and I do.
Yeah.
It seems to me that the CRM world has always been about 24, 36 months ahead of the HCM world, right? They went cloud first, they went about analytics first, they went industries first. But it seems like with AI, particularly what we've talked about with HR's role in AI, has the opportunity to leapfrog and do some interesting things, given that HR's data is in a lot of cases a better place than CRM data.
I agree, and I absolutely agree. And some of the early use cases where we've gotten some large scale deployments has been in HR. They've adopted, our benefits agent. And we've had some large scale deployment of our benefits agent, even at Oracle. We have very sophisticated, complicated, whatever you want to say, benefits in Europe and in the UK. They have multiple benefit plans, very complicated, answering the questions of how you need to answer. And I'll give you an analogy, but when somebody asks a benefit question, we're able to not only look at their assignment and understand, are they bronze, gold? We can understand what they have, and then we can go mass that up and answer the exact question. And it can do better. It doesn't always have to be 100% accurate. It does better than the human answering the questions, because these are very complex policies. And I'll give you one simple example because it's kind of fun. An employee asked, they had a skiing accident, which is not fun, but they had a skiing accident and they had to miss a day of work. And they were on vacation at the time. And so they went in, what do I do? And the agent came back and said, go to the hospital, they take care of it. And this is what your coverage is. But it also said, you also get that day back because of this accident, and that's part of the policy. And our head at HR said, I don't know how many of our own analysts would be able to answer. You would know the answer to that question. So in some cases, you're balancing the accuracy to what the human accuracy rate is in some of these things. But so I do think that HR can take a leadership role. And I've seen HR leaning into this in a lot of organizations.
Yeah, it's interesting. I chaired a CHRO summit a couple of weeks ago, and they were talking about things like, if a manager loses their team to agents, do they then become an individual contributor? Are they thinking about things like the flattening structure of entry-level positions, meaning I have to think differently about how I promote employees? I mean, the excitement in the HR space right now, and the way people are seeing this as an opportunity to really kind of shake things up, I think is pretty interesting.
You're absolutely right. We will need to think about, especially those entry-level roles. I mean, they're going to change. And we need to be cognizant, and we're cognizant of continuing to bring in entry-level folks, have them kind of do a hybrid role. Because, I mean, in the coding world, we've been disrupted. I mean, all the codecs and cloud codes have really, enabled our organizations. And so when we come in, we have a different training regimen. I mean, we train them completely different than we used to train them. This is how you do work. In fact, we say it's you're coding this way. This is how you write the code. This is how you test the code. This is how all the things that you do. It's very, very different. And I think all roles will have to go through that process. So entry level will still be entry level, but the work that they do and how they're trained is dramatically different. They'll be doing work that might not be had been entry level in the past, but they'll be trained to do that.
What would you say has been the biggest learning that you've had with AI over the past year and a half that is influencing how you deliver product today?
Any scaffolding that you put around the LLM, or any kind of guardrails that you put around the LLM, or any ways to manage certain parts of the LLM. Today, you might need it. Tomorrow, you need to get rid of it. You have to be really nimble about how you continue to move your product line forward, how you need to move your code base forward. They're going to make changes. You want to be able to respond to those changes and do it very, very quickly, and not be wed to, hey, we built this, we're going to keep it here. So my team is very nimble and looking at, hey, look, if the LLM can do a better job in some of these areas, we're going to take advantage of that and take that part of the code base out.
So no more roadmap slides?
It's getting hard to keep up. I always say we truly are going so fast that it's really hard to produce a roadmap. I mean, I can tell you what we're delivering in the next 3 months.
Yeah.
And we'll be sitting here again. You'll be amazed. I'm even amazed that I'm talking about this stuff today, and I'm excited about it because I get really excited about it. But the stuff that's coming, that's already built, that is literally going to come out in July, people's heads are going to explode. It is just mind blowing about what we're able to do now. But the key is we're learning more and continue to learn more about how to take advantage of the technology in our ecosystem, what it means to do work in Fusion applications. So we're really focused on that execution of work, because that's the sweet spot for us. We're not trying to solve all things for all AI problems. We're trying to solve that problem. If we can solve that problem, we're going to automate work. We're going to, move work forward 24/7. We're going to make our system significantly better. AI becomes that execution layer. It changes how you interact with our system. That's the problem we're solving. We're not trying to solve all problems.
Got it. We only have a few minutes left, so we typically take the last few minutes for crunch time.
Sure.
This is the time where Patrick comes up with the questions. I ask them. You're not in the remote office with me and Patrick, so he's not here. I don't think they allow dogs in Javits.
Oh, no.
But anyway, so a couple of quick questions from Patrick. Who's your favorite historical figure?
Oh my gosh. Historical figure, Churchill.
Okay.
Yeah. One of them.
What's your happiest place?
I like going to Maui. That's probably my favorite place. Yeah, I know.
Who can disagree with that, right?
Yeah.
And if you could come back as any person, animal, or thing, what or whom would you be?
Oh, I don't know. That's a hard one. Any person. I probably want to be a professional athlete just for a period of time. That would be fun, but I'm just not.
For the golden years of the professional athlete.
Exactly. It'd be super fun to do that for a little bit of time. Yeah, some professional athlete would be fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
What sport?
Probably golf. Masters is on.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Sounds good. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for taking the time and answering my questions and Patrick's questions. And thank you, everybody, for joining. We'll see you next time on The Crunch.